Thank you for listening to The Bounty, which is a 30 years since story. Now, why did I do this in between? Well, I can call it a prequel, I suppose, which is in between Series 1 and Series 2 or 30 years since. Why did I do the story? Well, I do think that this story had to be told. As you've heard, it's a story on how Chi-Chi acquired the bounty. There are a few bits within this story that I found very uncomfortable in making. Obviously, the bits with the sexual assaults and the situation where she quite literally escaped by the skin of her teeth from being raped, which it's not a fun conversation to have, and it's not funny, and it's real deep and dark. But the reason why I included these aspects within the story is because they are serious, life-changing events which gave Chi-Chi the motivation to leave her captors in such a way of killing them, justifiably killing them. It's not a nice thing to do, and I hope that I portrayed that as sensitively as possible. I didn't want to make a mockery of it, and I really wanted to portray how nasty the Anunnaki Empire were, especially to their what they call their inferiors, such as races like the humans, or even the Anasapiens, where they just see them as property and slaves, and would do whatever they want to what they created, because they didn't care. He didn't care about them whatsoever. Which was the perfect motivation, I have to say, for Chi-Chi to break away from her masters and become her own person in her own right. And it starts off the story between her and Henry, who she hasn't even met yet, on their love story. Because at the end of the day, she fell in love with Henry with the romanticism behind his plight and with his escape as well, and she thought that by showing the gesture of rescuing Henry that he would fall in love with her, and he did. Both Henry and Chi-Chi were definitely meant for each other, because they definitely mirrored each other. And for example, Henry was held prisoner for many years and completely abused and beaten and shot. And Chi-Chi, who was also a prisoner that was put to work aboard the Rhapsody. So they both got abused by their captors, both got tortured in the most horrific ways, and they both managed to escape in similar ways, because at the end of the day, when Henry escaped from the Anunnaki, he did it in such a bloodthirsty, rage-fueled way. It's just in the same vein as how Chi-Chi was quite bloodthirsty in the way of escaping her captors and tormentors as well. So they both are very similar in that respect, and that is what helped bring them together. If you read between the lines during every episode of 30 Years Since, from Series 2 when they met, they kind of knew. They never discussed their tormentors, nor did they discuss the damage that was done to them, but they could respect it, and they both knew that they both went through hell, and they both knew that they could relate to each other on such a different level. And that's what I hope came out in The Bounty, as well as 30 Years Since, that they were that close, and falling in love like that just goes to show how close they really are from sharing a similar kind of experience. Now, what's next in 30 Years Since? So let's think. So let's just recap where we are. So the main story of 30 Years Since has come to an end. They've returned to Earth, and the moon has been destroyed. It's been blown up and there's 3 massive chunks of moon rather than having the one whole moon. A big debris field of dust and rocks as well. So the Earth has started to come out of this massive calamity, because when the moon blew up, it's changed the orbit, it's changed, it caused massive tidal waves and whatnot. Then we've just not long had the Hunted series, which was set 5 years after the bounty returned. So we're now talking about the first year. So, and then we've had the prequel to the bounty. So let's stick with the main theme of the timeline. So what's coming next? We've got Vengeance, which is set about roughly between 6 months and a year after returning to Earth. And what is the Vengeance about? Well, whilst Henry and Chi-Chi decide to stay on Earth to bring up their children and to start rebuilding, the old man and his daughter are gifted a spacecraft from the Greys. And it's not just any spacecraft, it is a massive warship that's like an aircraft carrier. So it can hold lots of smaller ships the size of the Bounty, a little bit bigger and a little bit smaller. So lots of ships can dock with the mothership, which is the Vengeance. And the old man was given the Vengeance to take revenge on the splinter groups from the Anunnaki Empire, especially the particular warlord that blew up the moon out of pure spite. So his mission is to track down the remnants of the Anunnaki Empire, and with his crew of humans, Anasapiens and Greys, they will track him down and they will do whatever they can to bring vengeance upon the Anunnaki Empire, or the remnants of the Anunnaki Empire, to avenge what's happened on Earth and other similar worlds that the Anunnaki have destroyed and raped and pillaged. So it's looking good, and that will be the next episode after this, episode 1. And with a bit of luck, Vengeance would be going for at least 2 to 3 series, maybe even 4, maybe even 5 series. I don't know yet. I need to continue writing it. So far I've only got the first 3 episodes penned down from the time of recording this. If you've enjoyed The Bounty, Hunted and 30 Years Since, you'll definitely enjoy Vengeance. And if you enjoyed all of those all together, why not check out our other story-based podcast, which is A Tribute to Men That Hate Their Jobs and Gumshoe. The links for those are in the description below, so give it a try. If you want something different, bit of fun, bit of brutality and wit and whatnot, definitely give them a try, especially if you're new to this. Until next time guys, bye for now. Thank you for listening to The Bounty, a 30 Years Since story. If you enjoy any of our content, why not check out our other story-based podcasts? They are A Tribute to Men That Hate Their Jobs and Gumshoe. All the links for those are in the description below. We also have our Total Entertainment podcast, where I talk about the process of setting up a live show and a review of that show, as well as having the odd interview of a grassroots entertainer, musician or singer. The link for that is also in the description below. Until next time guys, bye for now.